it's fair to say, NJ, that TNA has been giving us some very consistently good shows over the course of 2012, but would you agree that this show we just witnessed was probably the worst show of 2012?
Very much so.
I mean, you can feel the mood here at the British Fist. NJ is very devastated at the moment. I'm very, very disappointed. The thing is, right now, guys, this is usually the time when we say, "Oh, it's Russo's fault. It's Russo's fault." But Russo isn't there anymore, guys. So Bruce Pritchard, this one's on you, brother. This was the worst TNA Impact show we've reviewed in some time, and that is saying something about the TNA product that has genuinely been pretty good lately, but don't have too much to say about the show, and you may see us two cutting very disappointed, lowly figures during this review. So sorry if it's not as entertaining as usual. We're the British Fist.
Gotcha.
I am Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me is the one and only entertaining one for you. It's NJ.
What's up?
Indeed, a little less enthusiastic as usual. Come on, NJ, liven up the mood.
What's up?
That's better. Let's get started with this TNA Impact review. Subscribe up above, like this video, and comment your thoughts on this show if you indeed saw this snooze fest down in that comment section below.
Make sure you contact us in the links in the description box below.
You might as well just get right onto it, get it out of the way with a. I think it's fair to say the first 30 minutes of Impact were terrible. We opened up the show with Garrett entering the arena in his massive car set, talking about being his own man, etc. And then we opened up the show with Bischoff, Flair, and Gunner. Now, the reason why this annoyed me at the first, because it reminded me of the Immortal segments we used to get back when TNA shows used to be very inconsistent. One question I want to know is, what a shit way to open the show. What a shit way to get the crowd going than to bring people with this storyline which no one gives a shit about.
Starting off with Garrett in a car, that didn't really do anything. Then have this. Yes, obviously they're the big names in at the moment while Sting's involved with Roode and Hogan's out and about. So they are got a big name, but the storyline they're building up is just not something that is going to interest me, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you.
Yeah, I will say this though. I just hope to God this is the only time TNA open up with this, and I hope the ratings reflect how bad this opening segment was. I mean, they're talking about a tag team match, and you know, you get Garrett watching on the TV screen, and then out comes Kurt Angle, and I couldn't help but feel that how forced that smile that Angle was doing, and how forced the promos throughout the night Angle was giving, almost seemed like he didn't want to be a part of this. And who the fuck can blame him? Why are they associating this Garrett Bischoff storyline with people like Kurt Angle and in the future Jeff Hardy, I should say? Sorry, why? I don't get it. It's just.
I look at this and I'm thinking you had a perfect thing going between Angle and Jeff Hardy that could have gone on, but the fact you're combining it in with this feud is just not doing them two any favours.
Yeah, I mean, Angle comes out saying that he doesn't like Garrett because he doesn't respect his father, and I'm like, oh my god, just why is Angle going after someone like Garrett Bischoff? Come on, TNA. God damn, this is why I didn't want to see this on TV, but just thank to God, it was like 6 or 7 minutes. It was short. Just the fact that Angle and Hardy are associated with this really pisses me off. That's all I'm going to say about that. Are you with me on that one, NJ?
Well, the fact that, yes, a tag match instead of just a boring singles match again is something interesting, but you're really bringing Jeff Hardy and Angle down to this storyline that is only just beginning and not really something that they should be in.
Or you could look at it in the fact that you're bringing Garrett and Gunner up to a position which they don't deserve. That's the way I see it personally. And just the whole thing throughout the night was who was going to be Garrett Bischoff's tag partner, and we kind of knew it would be Jeff Hardy. It wasn't really too much of a surprise. We had to carry on that fantastically good opening segment. We had a Joker, Sting, and Eric Young segment. Possibly the worst two people you could put in a segment together, really, isn't it? And I know you don't have face paint, but let's just move on. Eric Young and ODB got a TNA knockout tag title shot against Madison Rayne and Gail Kim. This segment to me represents all the shit I hate about TNA. Madison Rayne, Eric Young and ODB, and the Knockouts tag titles. I just don't understand why you're putting Eric Young in this position when he can't fight women, as Spike TV tell us that he can't fight women. This was the worst segment of 2012, I'm sorry.
I look at this and thinking, this is meant to be entertainment, this is meant to be sportsmanship, and obviously you're having someone that's meant to be a man in a knockout match, winning the knockout championship, and I'm like, you really don't really have much faith or support in the knockouts when you're doing something like this, and plus you're giving the knockouts championship to a man. I just think, as soon as I saw that, I thought, you have so much faith in Eric Young when you shouldn't have, because he's just pretty pointless and horrible.
The thing for me, I mean, it wasn't necessarily the fact that it was the fact that it made that Knockouts title match, as little as I care about it, it made that Knockouts title match seem so irrelevant. And then you got into this segment after Eric Young got that pin on Gail Kim, the Knockouts champion. You have Eric Young getting down on one knee and asking ODB to marry him. Jesus fucking Christ. The worst thing about it is they cut to commercial, and then after the commercial we had to see the rest of the segment. Thank you very much for that one, Pritchard. I'm just saying, this was the worst segment of the year, period. I'm saying.
The marriage thing added more to the match that obviously not many people were liking. And the marriage thing, again, it makes me feel like in the future weeks coming, they're going to continue having this ODB and Eric Young thing. I just wanted to finish because this just really took my feeling down for the rest of the night.
I can understand the casual fans may like this, but, I mean, for fuck's sake. This segment was the worst segment of 2012. I'm just going to say that. Let's just move on. We had Austin Aries. I thought this was an interesting little thing. Talking about wasting a pay-per-view match on free TV. I'm thinking Austin Aries is TNA's version of the smart YouTuber. That was pretty funny. It's just a shame it had to come in a bunch of segments, which was a full TV segment full of backstage segments, which never really, especially considering how bad the first bit of the show was, didn't just kept the badness flowing, didn't it? Really. We had Joseph Parks, aka Abyss. He come out. He's talking. He cut this very dashing figure in a suit and everything. Kept making sporadic appearances through the night, saying that he's Abyss's brother. So I'm guessing this is going to be the way they're going to bring Abyss back as Joseph Parks, the sort of human.
Well, I look at this, and I was enjoying the Abyss monster. Like when he was in all that, I was thinking, yes, a guy that I'm going to get into and like because of this monster gimmick. And now they're bringing this. It's a lot different. It's just I'm not buying into it. The amount of times he appeared to do pointless things, it just didn't give me a good feeling for this.
To be honest, the Abyss character was pretty dead anyway. But we'll move on. We're getting our Austin Aries versus Zema Ion for the X Division Championship. We're a couple of weeks from Victory Road. We're going to see these guys on pay-per-view. Why the fuck are they having this on free TV? Even the commentators said this was a pay-per-view quality match. Like, I mean, the one thing I did like about this segment was the fact they were trying to outdo each other. I thought that helped their feud. It's just that Aries getting DQ'd after spraying Zema Ion just reminds me of that bullshit Mickie James finish against Gail Kim at Genesis, which I labelled the worst match of the year, in my opinion.
This match, I look forward to X Divisions, but this match, I didn't feel it. Yes, it's got a big wrestler like Austin Aries, but the match, it didn't live up to what I was hoping. It's only 4 minutes, and the finish, it saved it for the pay-per-view, but still, I just didn't like it.
I mean, I thought the match was decent. It's just that the finish was awful, and I don't understand why they're having it on free TV. And even though they acknowledge that, I just don't get it. Come on, Pritchard, you're better than this. Just saying. We had a promo from Bully Ray, a promo which really kind of livened up our spirits, I guess. But the fact is, the guy didn't even get an entrance. Talking about deserving to be the #1 contender, and I think the most said phrase in 2012 is I want Bobby Roode. Because I want Bobby Roode, you want Bobby Roode, he wants Bobby Roode, Sting says he wants Bobby Roode, and he makes Bobby Roode. So it looks like they're both going to get Bobby Roode. So I want Bobby Roode, they want Bobby Roode, he wants Bobby Roode.
Well, the thing about this is that I really like this Bully Ray aggressiveness, saying that he wants the championship. Yes, it's going to be a heel versus heel, which would be the second one of the night. But the fact is, Bully Ray, after all he's been through, he does deserve a championship match. But obviously, at the moment, there's this feud between Storm and Roode, so it's got to be weight. But the fact they're having it now, I know it's not for the championship, but it's a teaser. But I enjoyed Bully Ray's promo.
Joker Sting is just so bad at them. I mean, I don't mind them bringing it back temporarily, but goddamn, if they're going to override it this much, fucking hell. The our main event then, as Sting was made the match, was Bobby Roode versus Bully Ray in a non-title match. You had the short backstage segment between Roode and Sting on the way out, and I found this quite interesting in the sense that Bully Ray is the much better heel than Bobby Roode. Would you say that? But the fans were really behind Bully Ray in this one, weren't they? And I'm just sitting there thinking, I don't want to see Bully Ray play the face. He's much better wrestling as the heel. Like, the crowd reaction was very interesting here, but, you know, this match was okay. It's just that I wasn't sure of the dynamic, and especially with James Storm interfering, it just lacked impact because there's two heels going at it in the ring.
Well, the way I look at this, you have two great heels going against each other, battling it out, trying to prove who's better than the other. Bully Ray trying to make a point that he deserves the championship, and Bobby Roode wants to show that he's a good champion. and it led up to Storm interfering, which I think was made sense because this was just a match, just have them both on this show.
He's feuding with both of them.
And eventually leading to Bobby Roode versus Storm. So Storm coming in, chasing them both out, and him super kicking Bobby Roode. I just thought it wrapped up nicely. The match flowed on nicely to that bit.
I just didn't like Buddy Ray being the face in that, especially with his great heel work lately. You think they'd capitalise on that, but it was just interesting the fans were behind Buddy Ray. But so to go on to our next match then. Crimson and Matt Morgan versus Robbie E and Rob Terry for the number one contendership of the tag team title. I think before we go into this, a couple of things. Robbie E is still the TV champion. Oh, let's get that fucking TV championship off him and put it on someone like the Pope. Just saying, TNA, let's get that TV title off him and make it mean something. And another thing, Robbie E and Rob Terry, you know the TNA tag team division is very weak when you're having Robbie E and Rob Terry involved in a number one contenders match, especially with how annoying the Robbie E character is and how little we care about the guy.
And the fact that they put in the TV champ and his partner,
who's in OVW, by the way,
in a tag team contender, I didn't like this. And the fact it's not really a competition for Morgan and Crimson. I just thought this match was absolutely horrible, and I just did not like this. So again, you see the flow of the night, nothing's really adding up to be a good show to me. Well,
the fact of the matter is, for me, this match should have been a squash. They had a match a while back and it lasted 2 minutes. I just think Morgan and Crimson should have squashed these two bozos. You had Crimson tagging himself in to get the pin after Morgan hit his finisher, kind of teasing that heel turn. And I do hope that they will do Christian's heel turn, Crimson's heel turn at the pay-per-view. I hope they do it there, because to do it on the TV show would be a bit of a waste. They had words after the match. We've got a tag team title match set for Victory Road now, which I guess is good. It's just that the match kind of shows the weakness of the tag division in TNA. I just wonder when Morgan and Crimson go off and feud, who's going to feud with Joe and Magnus? I think maybe you'd have the Motor City Machine Guns, but we're not sure if Chris Sabin's going to come back. I just wonder what else TNA have for that tag team division.
Well, we look at this, and we again have replayed the match we've seen twice now, but again, with TNA's roster and their tag team division, there's not much they could do. So I guess giving this another event, another match, is anything they could do, but it's just this match for the number contendership. It wasn't competition, and it really sucked.
Yeah, I mean, you got Robert E on TV, which sucks enough. I mean, you set up a match for the pay-per-view, good. But the way you've set it up, I mean, you've made Matt Morgan and Crimson kind of try to look dominant, but the fact they didn't beat them in like 2 minutes kind of just... I don't know, we'll see what happens at the pay-per-view. Next, we had a segment with AJ Styles next. He talks about the 10th year anniversary of TNA and does quite a good job of putting the fans over. He even managed to get a TNA chant started. And I can't remember the last time the Impact crowd were chanting TNA, TNA, TNA.
No, they're really behind this. AJ was bringing, obviously, his words out, bringing the importance of how they got to where they are over this year because of the fans. And it was definitely good. It was flowing pretty well for AJ.
I mean, we had the whole thing before where AJ was talking about a surprise. He's going to introduce a surprise and he's got the answers and stuff. But you have Daniels and Kaz coming out, talking about how AJ's friendship got him nowhere and that he encouraged Kaz to do the same thing as Daniels did and just get away from Christopher Daniels, and talking about maybe the problem is with AJ and not with all the people that have turned their back on him. And we get this whole news that Mr. Anderson's back and AJ Styles is associating himself with the asshole. Good to see Anderson back, isn't it, on TV finally?
Well, the whole of the night, this and probably Buddy Ray's were the two bits that stood out to me that got me entertained. So seeing Anderson back now in a stronger role, I'm thinking, because he's involved with big wrestlers like AJ and Daniels, it's something good for his return.
I mean, to be honest with you, I was looking at it, I was thinking, how are they going to introduce Anderson into this? And it did seem kind of random, didn't it, the fact they brought Anderson in, but I'm just happy to see Anderson involved on something to do with TV, and it looks like the match for Victory Road will be a tag team match with these four people in, and they're going to have a match with Anderson and Daniels next week, so we get to see Anderson back on TV, which for us is good, because we do love Anderson.
And the fact that he's in a dominant role back, and obviously if they continue doing this with whoever goes against, because we'll probably have AJ and Kazarian, Daniels and Anderson, probably so like that going up. So I look forward to it.
They might branch off these two, maybe these two feuds of Anderson, maybe being with Kaz or Daniels. But was this the best segment of the night to you?
This and Buddy Ray, these two stood up.
The two highlights of a very bad show, and this kind of really says a lot about this show, really, doesn't it? The main event of the evening. We all knew it was going to be Jeff Hardy being Garrett's tag team partner. Garrett and Hardy versus Gunner and Angle. Are they really trying so hard with Garrett Bischoff that they're trying to get Jeff Hardy's heat or face heat onto Garrett Bischoff? Hardy is well over, and they're trying to associate it with Garrett Bischoff. I can understand that, but for fuck's sake, Garrett Bischoff in a main event. The guy can't wrestle. look, what am I not seeing here? He has no character. When Jeff Hardy was coming out, he never played along to it. He just looked and went, you know, why is this guy in the main event?
Well, the two bad things about this is, number one, in the match you have a part where there's Garrett and Angle, and you have Garrett just laying Angle down, and I thought, Angle is a top wrestler, a guy that should be kicking his ass, showing his skills and that. You have Garrett just kicking his ass for a bit of the match. And the other thing is, I really thought that, I know it wasn't the best match, but the Buddy Ray and Roode match would have been the main event because they're bigger stars and a follow on from the pay-per-view. But this is just horrible. I
don't understand why TNA. You've got Garrett Bischoff in there and Jeff Hardy. You had Jeff Hardy getting beaten down, so Garrett Bischoff could get the hot tag. You know, I can't help but feel that it really should have been the other way around. It would have been a lot more believable if the heels beat down Garrett Bischoff, leading into Jeff Hardy getting the hot tag. I'm just not sure why they did it this way. I know they're trying to do it because they want to get Garrett Bischoff over, and it's not working at all. And it's just like, the match itself wasn't necessarily bad. It's just the way they built it up and booked it, to me, was shit. And then you had Jeff Hardy getting the pin after the blind tag. Again, like you said, Garrett Bischoff taking down Kurt Angle and Gunner in 2. Nepotism. I just don't. It's just not what we want to see, and not what we've come to expect from TNA, is it? In main events.
No,
definitely not. Should we just go on to overall thoughts?
Please.
Would you say this is the worst main event of 2012?
Night, yeah, not just the main event. The whole night, I just really did not enjoy this.
Yeah, I know the whole show was shit, but I mean, the thing is, to me, overall thoughts on this show is, you know, it didn't open up very well, which meant our attention span was very, very thin going into the rest of the show. So you really put yourself on thin ice there, TNA. I just hope this is a small blip in the long run, because we come to expect good TNA shows, and I hope this is just a blip in the trail.
I'm going to say this. There's parts this night that I thought someone like Big Bird wrote this.
Who?
Big Bird from Sesame Street.
I was thinking Vince Russo.
And the other thing, even him. And the other thing is, some parts of the night, I really needed, as Americans call it, and we get it too, 5-hour energy. I needed that. Because this show was just bad, man. Bad. But thank you.
That's probably the most entertaining thing I've heard all night. Yeah, the overall on the show, it was the worst show of 2012. It was not a very good show. They added 2 matches to Victory Road, I guess, which is good, but there was very few segments which stood out, and some of the matches were badly booked. The fact that the whole show revolved around Garrett Bischoff was just shit, and just that's not what I want to see from a TNA show. It's just a terrible show.
Well, the importance now is next week's the go home show, so.
Is it? Oh, it is, yeah, of course.
So it's the importance next week. So this week, I'm glad this was the go-home show. Next week, they have 1 chance left to give us a good feeling going to the pay-per-view.
Yeah, so we've got 6 matches set up, maybe get a couple more on that show. I don't even want to grade this show. It was just
That's how I felt.
The worst show of 2012, and I think a lot of people out there will probably agree with us, including the guys down at TNA Swerve and Fool Killer.
Okay, well, people, you've heard the words from Mr. Parkin and me and Jay. Please give your thoughts, the good and the bad, because we tried to do it.
We tried.
So what I can say now is, till next time, people, goodbye.